The following clip is from a Quran chapter analysis video I made that is a part of my broader, in-depth Studying the Study Quran playlist. Whether you are a Christian, Jew, Muslim, atheist, etc., I believe you will learn a lot about Islam and religion in general from watching this series. So please feel free to check out the full playlist by clicking on the end screen or the link in the description for it. Or if you're just interested in seeing the video that this clip was taken from, I'll provide a link and an end screen for it as well. But without further ado, here is the clip you actually wanted to watch when you clicked on my face. Enjoy. Alright, now moving on to chapter 14, the passage I would like to read and discuss concerns verses 24 through 27. And I'm going to read a couple verses at a time and read the footnotes alongside those verses just so that we can save some time. Hast thou not considered how God sets forth a parable? A good word is as a good tree, its roots firm and its branches in the sky. It brings forth fruit in every season by the leave of its Lord. God sets forth parables for mankind, that haply they may remember. Alright, now let's read the footnote for verses 24 and 25. A good word is understood to refer here to the formula of the Shahada, there is no God but God, and a good tree can be a reference to the date palm. Like the date palm, which is firmly rooted in the earth, so too is the meaning of the Shahada, firmly rooted in the hearts of the people of divine unity. Al-Razi refers to this same reality by saying that when the tree of knowledge is firmly rooted in the land of one's heart, one becomes stronger and more complete, thereby enabling fruit to issue forth from its branches in abundance. This tree of knowledge, which is rooted in the land of one's heart, thus has branches that are in the sky. That is, it has forms of knowledge that reach the divine realm. This tree thus brings forth fruit in every season, which is to say that the soul of a person who is firmly rooted in knowledge develops a spiritual disposition through which it produces fruit perpetually in the form of beautiful words, righteous actions, a state of humility, self-effacement, weeping, and lowliness. I gotta say, I really love the imagery here, and I think there's a lot of truth in this. You know, a good word is as a good tree. You know, it's firmly rooted and it has branches in the sky. If you are rooted in knowledge and you speak good words, you know, you're gonna bless the world like a tree with its branches in the sky, and you're gonna last even through the storms that rage against you. You won't have your roots torn out by the trials and tribulations of life because you are like a tree. A good tree, rather, like a date palm. And I don't know, I just think that all there was really, really beautiful. Now let's go ahead and move on to verses 26 and 27. And the parable of a bad word is a bad tree, uprooted from the face of the earth. It has no stability. God makes firm those who believe with firm speech in the life of this world and in the hereafter, and God leads the wrongdoers astray. God does whatsoever he wills. Now let's read the footnotes for 26 and 27. A bad word is usually understood to mean a statement of disbelief in God, which is the opposite of the Shahada symbolically represented as a good tree in verse 24. More specifically, a bad tree is usually understood to be a reference to a Hanzala tree, which is easily uprooted from the face of the earth, because its roots are shallow, close to the surface of the earth. It thus provides no stability and is therefore the opposite of the date palm, which is firmly fixed in its place with deep roots. I do think it is interesting that in the kind of COVID period, 2020, 2021, and even into 2022, you saw like a lot of people who were more atheistic, more nihilistic. They lost their heads, often more so than a lot of religious people who believed in God, at least with respect to COVID. Now, there were clearly some religious people who lost their minds during that period too. They became insanely political and developed all sorts of strange ideas. I'm not going to get specific, but I just do remember during the COVID period that a lot of my more secular friends who didn't believe in God and would even speak against God they would, use a bad word as described in verse 26. They lacked a lot of emotional stability in that trying time. They really got extremely paranoid and kind of just, got all wobbly. Whereas my friends who were more religious and reverent of God, watched what they said about God, were generally speaking a bit more stable, at least with respect to, the COVID issue. Like, they were not completely afraid of the disease. They didn't walk through life with 2 masks on. This idea of the Hanzala tree having, very shallow roots and has no stability. And this is similar to the sort of person who rejects the idea of there is no God but God. I think is true. And, even though I come from a different background from the Islamic monotheism illustrated here, I, obviously am a big fan of the monotheism of Christianity. And I know that there's Muslims would say that the there is no God but God statement, is a condemnation of the Christian idea of the one God. I'm not getting into all of that, but I am just trying to say, ultimately, that there is a lot of truth here in this idea that those who reject the idea that there is no God but God are more unstable than those who speak the good word, there is no God but God.